Needing cranked, probably. Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, it is cranked,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
But it cancels the sound, like, of everything around it, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it's just the directional, so, like, I mean, you gotta speak right into it. You know?
Right.
That's actually one of the reasons I like recording with this at home, because the reflections don't bounce everywhere.
Right.
Like in that kind of mic, you know?
I really want to get, are those called, these are dynamic and those are condenser?
That's condenser, this is dynamic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to get, I think they're Slate Digital, they're white, but they're just like the Shure SMBs.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
SM7Bs, but that's what I want to get. And it's kind of a necessity for the podcast. Yeah. This has just too much outside noise.
Right, yeah, no, these are awesome, man. Like,
right.
It's $400. The ones you're talking, I know exactly what ones you're talking about. I have a friend that has one, and he loves it. But
right.
And I think with those, it has the modeling. I don't know if it's Slate or if it's Universal Audio or which one it is, but Slate and Universal Audio have the modeling.
Gotcha.
So I think you can choose like different microphones within the modeler, so that's pretty sick.
Is that one? Cool. So they're both 400? Because I think those are 400.
They might be.
They could be. That is?
This one's 400, but with the gain situation, usually you need to buy like a cloud lifter or some type of gain, like boost.
Yeah.
And so
because I feel like with that being that far up, but that's why I'm saying since that's a dynamic, that it won't be as bad. Because when I put it way up like that for this, you hear.
Right.
Even if the air conditioning isn't on, you know.
That's exactly right, and that's what these are really good for.
Yeah.
Because it's you wouldn't have to crank it that high. You know, you still have a lot of headroom whenever you have whatever, cloud lifter or whatever.
Right.
So you still have a lot of headroom, but it definitely eliminates a lot of the background noise.
And that's I really want to get a cloud lifter for this one too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if a cloud lifter is the right word for it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's something like a cloud lifter.
Yeah. Well, you have the tube. It's a tube mic, which is that's why I was wanting to check it out, because that apparently is a clone to the Telefunken 251, which is like, I think Jack Harlow just recently recorded his most recent album on it, and like it's like a staple for rap, pop music. That, and then mic that's called the Sony C800G.
Right.
But that mic, the original Telefunken one, is $11,000.
Yep.
And same with the C800G. They're like $10,000-$12,000, and it's just like, you can't, you know, who's buying that unless you're like Mariah Carey, and, you know. So
I actually, when I bought this, I got the email that it came in, and I was on vacation in Florida.
Yeah.
So I had and we drove, so it was a 13-hour car ride. I'm sitting there watching shootout videos with this, and honestly, it kind of hurt my feelings because I was hearing how good the real one sounds, you know, and then I'm like, damn. But like you said, who's spending? I mean, I got this for, what is it? I think it even went down from when I got it. It's like $7.99 or something.
Yeah, I think it's like, used ones I think are like 500, 600 something.
Right.
And that's where I was kind of looking into them to try
to
trade mine, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think realistically my issue is that I have a huge room.
Yeah.
And it just nothing. This is the only thing that sounds decent in that room because it's so big.
Right.
And like you said, if you turn that thing up, same with my other one, the condenser mic, you're kind of screwed. So
you hear everything.
It is what it is. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, I'm hoping like the end goal is to get something like the 11,000, but that also, it could, I mean, in a room like this that's not treated, you kind of got to upgrade both at the same time, you know? You got to get better acoustic treatment and better equipment, or you're going to get a new mic and be like, why doesn't it sound so much better?
Right.
But it's because you're in the same room, you know?
I think that's one thing I've always loved about, or admired, and was honestly kind of surprised when I first met you, first heard your stuff. When I first came here, I was like, yo, he's not working with much, but his stuff sounds so good.
Yeah.
And I was always kind of, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of shocked. I was like,
right. Well, especially the first time you came here, I probably had the black foldable table.
Yep.
And it was probably, I don't know if I had any of these. I didn't have the
the stands were on the the speakers were on the desk, like there was nothing.
And then you brought me those, so the first time you were here, I didn't have the acoustic treatment or anything.
Right. Well, I noticed real quick, you were showing me your workflow, and you were showing me the plugins that you had and what you were running, like the Waves plugins and the RVox and the compression and the EQs and everything. You have Soothe and all that good stuff going, which I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, oh, okay. And that's something I've talked to my producer about a lot recently, is like, realistically, you don't have to have the $10,000. You don't have to have the $11,000 microphone. You just need to know how to use the tools that you have, right? Because like, I think of my dad. I think that's when I really started to mentally try to train my brain to think this way, is like, my dad has been a construction worker for 40 years, right?
Right.
He can build a house with a Walmart set of tools. You know, it's not like the tool like, it's not the brand of the tool necessarily that is what's helping. It's his knowledge on actually how to build a house, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, you can use a $400, even a $100 microphone these days, you know.
Right.
You can use a $100 microphone as long as you know how to construct how to build the vocal the way you want it to sound, build the track out the way you want it to build it out. Like, you're gonna have a structure in a house that's like firm and a foundation that's strong. So, I mean, that's one thing that I've always, why I like to always go behind the scenes of people's places and check it out, because I'm like, how are they doing it? You know, and like I said, with you, you've been such an inspiration, and then of course Cam, which I don't think I've ever met Cam, but anyway,
really?
I'll meet him one of these days.
I think you met him one. I feel like he was here one time.
You're right,
when
actually.
You were here.
He came in as I was like leaving. So I'm trying to think. Exo Mello is the other guy.
Yeah,
I can't think. I feel Brandon.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he was here, and we were hanging out, and then I think Cam came in as I was kind of leaving, and we like dapped up or something, and then I headed out. But I've never like officially sat down and had a conversation or anything with him. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool.
We'll definitely have to do another podcast. I was hoping he could come tonight, but it was last second, and I didn't. Right, but I love it like that. I love just not having a plan for it and just getting into it, because I feel like through us talking about our personal experiences, people can learn from it, be inspired from it. You know, that's what people come. They come to listen to you expressing yourself and being vulnerable. You know. Yeah. But the whole, I definitely agree. It's not the tools. I was watching this mix and master, or engineer. I was going to call him a mix and master. But this engineer that did a lot of work for Young Thug, and he would always stream and post videos of him doing his stuff. Yeah. He was mixing this song, and she had recorded it on her phone. Yep. It was just straight voice memos, her in the bathroom, no acoustic treatment. She was in a bathroom, and the song sounded better than anything I've ever mixed, because 100%. He knows what he's doing.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, absolutely. I know. I think that every time, tomorrow, I was hoping we'd be able to catch each other before I left, because tomorrow I'm heading back down to Georgia, where I'm living right now, but. I stop halfway every time in Nashville. So Nashville is like dead center in the middle, and I always stop there to hang out with some friends that I know. If I have an opportunity to work in the studio with a friend, I'm there. You know what I mean? Like a professional studio. So, 100%. And sure enough, I have a friend that's going to be doing a mixing session tomorrow. And so I'm like, yo, can I come hang out? And I got some stuff I could do. So he's like, yeah. So I'll be going there tomorrow. But every time I'm there and I'm working on something, like right now, I've got a couple of different things I'm working on, and I'm trying to produce more of my own stuff this year. That's one of my goals, is to produce my own songs, get them mixed and mastered by a professional. But I want to get better at production, right? Right. And that's a scary step.
Although that's kind of what I'm doing. The last 3 songs I released, I produced, and it's so scary. If I listen to a beat I made, because I'm not very experienced, back to back with a good, or in my opinion, you know. Right. And I'm also hard on, but I know what you mean. It is scary. Right. It's very scary.
Well, so that's the thing, is like I sit next to him, right? So, and we talk about this all the time, about like how I can watch 100 YouTube videos or whatever, and like, you know, kind of get there. But like when I'm sitting next to the guy and I'm like, bro, why can I not figure this out? He's like, oh, just do this and do this.
Right, makes it seem so simple.
And it's fixed. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Like, what do you mean? All you have to do is this button right here and drag this, make a slope like that, and you're done.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. Have you heard of Isotope, the plugin Isotope?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you might have.
That's actually on that paper, right there. Here. Look, right. Album needs ozone. Yep. Because that's pretty much the mastering standard at this point. Right. And I did I paid monthly for that, and Neutron and all that stuff, but I really only used Ozone. So
right. So I just bought what was it? I just bought Native Instruments like complete pack for Black Friday because it was a good sale.
Yeah.
So I bought that, but it comes with Isotope and some mastering plugins. And again, I don't really know how to use them. They're there, but I'm like, okay,
the good
cool.
thing about those is they have a lot of AI features.
Yeah.
Because with Ozone, I do the AI and listen, and I go through everything because it doesn't do everything like I want it to, but it gives you a great starting point, even if you don't really know how to use the plugin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my friend Greg, he was like, okay, he's like, you have Isotope, right, and Ozone or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I think so. He's like, you do. And I'm like, okay. Right. So he's like, pull it up. So I pull it up, and he's like, all right. And he's explaining. He's like, this is what it is. This is what it does. Whatever. It's like, I don't know if it's a multi-band compressor or what it is, but he's like, this is what it's doing. This is how it's working. Hear this part, and he's like, explain it to me in real time, and I'm like, man, like,
because it's compressing the different frequencies, and then it's taking the ratio differently,
Exactly. It's like letting things through. And so anyway, I'm sitting there, and like I'm really encouraged because I'm like, man, this is awesome. I'm learning it right, at the time, but then I'm also like, yo, I got so much to go, which is also encouraging in its own way.
But there's always another step, always.
100%.
Yeah.
So I try to live by that saying, you should never be the best in the room that you're in or whatever. You should never be the smartest, never be the best at what you're doing in that room. If you are, then you're probably in the wrong room.
Exactly.
Right? So even Greg, my producer, whenever we're there at the studio, like his production is insane. His mixing, he's a mixing engineer, master, incredible, right?
Yeah.
Just nuts.
Right.
But when it comes to actually the studio and the setup and everything, he's like kind of knows what he's doing. He knows how everything works, but he's not used to like setting everything up and patching everything in, right? So we got a guy named Josh there, and he like, that dude's a wizard when it comes to actual studio setup, and because he's like patched everything in, he knows exactly how everything runs power wise, and so it's always cool because it's like everyone has their different strengths whenever we're in the room and doing our thing.
I love that because you can only be so good at everything. But if you have a team who everyone specializes in one thing, you're unstoppable at that point. Which
I don't know what I'd be interested in what you're and Cam's like. Clearly, you guys are a team. Clearly, you got things that you're good at. He's got things that he's good at. That's why you guys work well together. And that's why I was excited to meet him and have a conversation. But like you said, I literally texted you like 2 hours ago, and here we are. So,
but I think with me and Cam, it's like, in the future, I see me running the audio side and he runs the video side. But like we just said, we can only specialize in so many things. I have my things that I want to be doing, which I'm still figuring out. I don't know what I really want to be doing. I know it's something with this. But we really want to put a team together, and that's future. I mean, we talk 5-10 years down the line a lot of the times, But I feel like that's how it has to be if you got a vision for something big,
Have you heard of the guy Nick D? He's an independent artist. He does more pop stuff. I don't know if you've heard of him. Anyway, I watch a lot of his stuff, and it's really valuable information because he has like roughly 4 million monthly listeners. He's just an independent artist. Like,
he just made that new TikTok. YouTube account, didn't he?
Right. Yep.
What is it called?
Like Freddie for Artists or something.
Something like that.
So I've been watching that a lot. And
I have too.
He's so good, right? But one thing, man, I lost my train of thought. But
Nick D.
No, I was trying to think. I don't know. It lost me. It'll come back. I know what I was where I wanted to go, but I forgot. Mean.
I feel like sometimes the podcast brings that out.
Yeah.
Because with me, there are some things where I'm trying to remember and then struggling so hard, I'm like, nope, I can't keep just sitting here thinking about it.
Now, as you were talking, I was like,
I got
it's going to come back. Being an artist, right? So clearly, you're a rapper, and you make content, you rap, you make videos for it, all that.
Right.
But something I've come to learn, I think you're probably seeing the same thing, is like to really make it in the music industry, like at least at the beginning, you kind of got to do more. Like you got to be able to, do more than just like make the video. Because realistically, people that, outside of music don't understand that streams, unless you're making a lot of streams, do nothing.
Right.
Like,
I think I made $60 this year in streams.
Right. I think I made like 20. You know what I mean? So right. I mean, I didn't make anything.
And then you add in the 40 I spent for ads, trying to get stuff going.
Exactly.
Failed ads, and I'm like, okay, so yeah.
Right.
Probably lost money making music.
Exactly.
From streams and stuff.
And I always forget about this, but I have a multi-million streaming song as a songwriter, which I always forget it's a country song. It was my first ever songwrite in Nashville with a friend.
Really? That's crazy.
And I was just there hanging out, and I was like, one of my friends was like, do you want to go and hang out with these guys, Eddie and the Getaway and David J, and we'll write some music? We're having a writing session. I was like, all right, yeah, cool. I have no idea who these dudes are. I'm just going, I'm just hanging out with friends, which is really all I want to do.
Yeah.
So, and also, I mean, I'd love to songwrite and whatnot. That's why I kind of am here. So, anyway, we go. And at the time, I think David has like 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. I don't know these dudes, right? So, like, I'm just like showing up. Yeah. No idea who they are.
You just know you're writing songs.
I just know I'm writing a song with some friends and making new connections. So, I'm right with David. David has about 1 million monthly listeners at the time. Eddie has about 30,000 monthly listeners.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't know this at the time. I'm just hanging out with him. And so we write the song. So Eddie and the Getaway is one of the artists, and David J is the other guy. But David was telling Eddie, he's like, bro, your name's Eddie and the Getaway, and you don't have a song called Getaway. Like, let's write a song called Getaway. Like, let's just do it, right? So anyway, so we start to write it, and by the end of the session, we finish, whatever, all cool. I'm like, yeah, that was fun, we leave. And like a couple months later, I get a text from Eddie, who got my number from Gavin, and was like, hey man, can I get your like BMI, like your publishing information? I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, Gavin was like, texted me. He's like, yeah, they're gonna release the song. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, yo, that's sick.
Right, that's awesome.
I had no idea. I mean, I contribute, like, when we started, because they kind of had the idea. I wrote the first 4 lines primarily. Was like, caught in a moment, lost in your eyes, girl, do you notice you're lonely tonight? Like, that's kind of like, so started that and kind of was riffing with him the whole time, but that stayed in the song. And sure enough, like right now, I don't know, I can't look it up on Spotify or nothing, but I think it has like 1 point something million on Spotify, and then probably about the same on Apple Music. But Eddie's a dude that I admire for like his TikTok and content stuff.
Yeah.
Because he has grown from, like, monthly listeners anyway, Spotify wise, he's grown from 30,000 to like, I think he's at like 400,000 now since I met him.
Damn.
But he just does like tons of, he'll hold a sign out on the road and it'll say something on it like, if you're having a rough day, like put the headphones on.
Right.
So like he'll hold up the sign, of course somebody else stop, put the headphones on, and then his song will come on. And it's like, inspirational. Right. And it's awesome, and he's got good stuff. So, and that's just like some of his stuff has just went super viral.
Yeah. And it's crazy to see how corresponding that really is for monthly listeners nowadays. I mean, you can almost tell a monthly listeners by your social media presence because it comes so hand in hand nowadays.
Right.
And you have your exception. I feel like the exception is older artists, people that are established and people just love them because they can sing real good or make good music.
Yeah.
And they can kind of be a little less present on social media. But for anyone starting out, if you're not doing that, you're probably getting 5 streams from your family and 3 are your mom. Yeah, exactly.
3 are my mom and 2 are my grandma.
Too, like they really are.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and it's hard. It's so hard to do good TikToks. Like it's so hard to do that.
It's so frustrating. I've thought of some ideas for this next year, and sometimes it's hard for me, at least personally. I don't have any friends around that do it, which should not be an excuse. But sometimes you're like, it's kind of cheesy and I feel lame and no one's really supporting me and no one's here to do it with me. And you're like, is it worth it, Or that's why, like I said, I always get inspired from you and Cam and then all my other friends like Eddie and David and Dylan and Bailey and all these guys that are doing it on TikTok. it's kind of like they're all doing it. We're all in this together.
Right.
But also it's like, man, I wish I had someone like that I lived by. That's why, as you know, I'm from Flora, so I'm from this area. And one of my dreams, and I was actually talking to a friend about this the other day, I was like, one of my like long-term goals would be like if my wife Jansen and I move back to this area, I would love to build a studio, like an actual professional recording studio,
right,
of some sort. It doesn't have to be huge, but I would love to just for the vibe and everything, just buy a downtown building and build a studio of some sort with songwriting rooms and a recording spot, like so people can come in and that community can happen.
Right.
Again, like it's not a community of competition, but a community where we come together and we're like,
exactly.
We're all creatives here. We all want to get together and create, whether that's actually together or just like encouraging one another. Like, for example, you do rap, right? And I love rap. I love it. I primarily work in the church world, so I do a lot of like CCM, worship music, and I think both is beautiful. You know what I mean? And I just love it. So that's why I'm like, I want to be able to support you. And because also we've talked about this before, but like all of our creative expression is part of our journey of life as well. So I'm like, and I'm just kind of a pastoral loving person at heart. So it's like, I'm like, man, if we could create a space, like if I could create a space where we can have all people from all walks of life coming in and creating music and essentially like working out, this life in a space, like a safe space kind of, but also very inspiring and creative. Like, I don't know, I just think something special could come out of it. And I think Effingham's kind of got something special already anyway. Because like I've seen you perform at different places around the area, and Rio's Mios, and what's his name, Derek, right?
Right.
I think.
Yep.
Okay.
That's his name.
The thing is, I'm not from here, so I don't know half the people's names other than their Instagram handles.
Yeah.
So like, I know, of course, your name's Trevor, but I know you also like as Trace Deion. Is that what it is? Okay. Yep. Which, how'd that come up? What's that about?
Trevor is my first and Jason's my middle. So I was trying to think of a name that kind of combined the two. Yeah. And I came up with Trace. And I was kind of like, oh, it's all right. But then I realized Trace spelled differently is 3 in Spanish. And I was born at 333. Okay. So I was like, that's about perfect right there. Yeah, rock with it, yeah. And then my dad wanted to name me Deion after Deion Sanders. Okay. And I always really liked that name.
Is that why it's Deion? Yeah. Is that how you spell it?
Yeah, Dei.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Right.
Okay. I always wondered like, and my wife asked me too. She's like, "Why is it Trey?" I was like, "I don't know, babe. It's what he rocks with. Like, let him go."
Right.
So
it was just super unique, and it was for real. Which, if you look up for real on Spotify, Google, anything, you get a million different things that say for real. So
that's right. Because I remember that now. Because 3 years ago now, I don't know, when I started working at the church here, when I moved back, I lived in Australia for 3 years, as you probably know. Right. When I moved back, I remember I made friends with a guy named Kalen Reardon. I'm sure you know him, mutual friend. And he was, and I think Derek, Rios Mios, and maybe it was you, I don't know, but was putting on something out at the Country
Haven.
That place. So putting something out at the Country Haven, and I didn't know anybody that was going. I just knew it was Kalen was singing some country music. He's like, I don't know, there's gonna be a lot of rappers there, and I'll be singing country. And he's like, just come out, it's gonna be sick. Right. All right, cool. So, I think you were going by For Real at that time. Yeah. Because I remember going out there, and I was like,
it's probably been a year and a half or two.
Any of these people are. I honestly think it's been about 2 or 3. Like I think that was in 20. Well, it wouldn't have been in 2020. It was probably like 2021 or something. It's probably been a couple of years.
So 2 or 3.
Yeah. So when did you switch the names from For Real to Trace?
That was it.
Oh, that was when you...
that's what I was saying when I switched the names. But you were talking about when the concert was.
Right. So the concert was a couple years ago. But when did you decide to switch from For Real to Trace?
I think that was
like
a year
after
and a half.
That, or...
Yeah, I think it was a year and a half to 2 years ago.
Okay, so roughly probably around the same time.
Right. Yeah, it was soon after that, I think. But I kind of changed it, and then I didn't do anything for a while. I just, in my mind, I knew that I wanted to change it. Right. And it's had its ups and downs, you know. I love the uniqueness of it, but I did have a little following going, and really the biggest part about this game is longevity. The longer you stay in it, the more chance you have to gain a new fan every year, you know. And sometimes I think if I stayed as for real and just kept going with that, and I have people tell me you should have stayed as for real, but it's done. And I believe everything happens for a reason. Like it happens because it should happen. Yeah. And I believe it was the right decision, but right now it kind of hurts. You know, it does.
Yeah. Well, I heard you had a bit of a following, and that's the thing. I was like, I mean, it's like, I don't know who anybody is, but I heard, you know, you had a bit of a following, and then when you performed, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like he's got it. He's got something there, you know. Granted, who am I to make the judgments? You know, I'm not doing anything.
You can kind of tell when someone has that little bit of potential.
Right.
Like,
you can tell when someone's got it.
I think that's people we hang out around, you know?
Yeah.
That's why we hang out around them.
Yeah.
And stuff happens where you randomly write a song that gets a million streams.
Right. And I actually, I think I know your sister and your brother-in-law, because I remember I saw them there. They were supporting you. And as I was saying hi to them, and you just happened to be there with, at your time, I think, the girlfriend. But, anyway, so it's cool. It's crazy how the world works. And then, like I said, you follow each other, and then you start to say, oh, this guy's kind of like in this for real. Like, he's really about this, you know? Really wants to make it. You were for real about that. But, and I think that's what's been awesome for me to see is like, because it's such a hard career path to do. Sometimes you wonder if it's just a little bit of a phase for some people. Right. Which I don't think it's a phase for you. No. I think you're really trying to do this for real.
At this point, it's like, even if I wanted to entertain the idea that it was a phase, I would have to be depressed if I quit. You know, I would be like, nah, I worked way too hard for way too long and saw no results for me to stop now, you know?
Right. 100%. Yeah. That's sometimes what I think, man. I'm like, I've been doing this for too long to quit, you know, now. But I think that's one thing is like, even with what we're doing now, like to kind of get into kind of what I'm doing now. I know you were going to ask me earlier, you were kind of asking me, I was like, let's, we'll save it for the podcast. Right. But, right now I live in Georgia and, married, and my wife just finished medical school. So I'm officially married to a doctor. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty crazy. But anyway, so we're waiting on to see where she gets placed in residency is what it's called.
Gotcha.
And anyway, she ranks all of the programs that she gets interviews at, and then they kind of rank her, and there's a match process. I just call it the medical draft day. Right. That's what I call it.
Is that how it works everywhere for the medical?
Mm-hmm. Really? Yeah. So you apply at a bunch of different programs, and then you go to a bunch of interviews, and then you rank those interviews on like how you liked the program, how you liked the place, the people, all this different stuff. Right. You take all that into factor and consideration. And then there's this algorithmic match process where the program actually has to match with you as well. So like you might rank them, you're number one, but they might rank 10 people above you, and they only have 10 slots. Right. Anyway, it's a whole algorithmic. So you kind of
sounds smart though. It sounds like it'd work.
Right. It works, and they do it every year, and it's crazy. But I just call it the medical draft day. Is what I'm like. Hey,
makes sense.
Yeah, we sitting there waiting for the email, waiting for that phone call, and
she's like, "I got it."
Yeah. You're like, we put the hat on.
She said, first round.
That's right. University of Illinois. Carl Clinic.
Right.
So,
that would be hilarious. Like, they should do that for content. The medical field should. We should offer that service to the medical field. That'd be a bag catcher.
Well, that's what I told her. I was like kind of joking with her one time. I was like, we should get hats with like your top 3. That would be so
funny.
And like just have them sitting there and record you. And she like opens her email and she picks the hat up.
Sarah Bush.
Yeah. that would be hilarious. That's really so funny. Yeah, man. St. Louis Children's Hospital.
Right.
Oh,
I'm going to take my talents to St. Jude.
That's amazing. But anyway, with that, I've recently, I can't get too in depth with it, but I've got offered a job in Peoria, and it's involved in the music industry, and it would be a full-time job.
That's awesome.
Like working in the music industry. And my long-term, like kind of my dream I've always had is to be an artist, like a contemporary Christian music artist. and go on tour. I've always wanted to tour.
Right.
I thought it'd be so cool to, go on live on a bus for a few months and do whatever, I was just like, man, that would be so cool. Like, I'd love to tour one day.
Right.
And for a while, I used to get kind of discouraged, like, if I'm not doing the artistry thing in the music industry, I'm not fulfilling my dream. But really, I've come to the terms of like, man, if I'm making a living of somehow, if I'm making, and I don't have to be making a lot of money, it's enough to make it by. I'm like, if I'm making a living to pay my bills in the creative industry, especially in music, like, I'm living my dream.
Exactly.
Like, and that doesn't mean that the artistry dream is done.
Well, I was watching an interview with Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
And they said, do you advise someone to try to have a daytime job and pursue music? And he said, I think even if you make it with music, you should keep another job. So you don't have to worry about making money with the music. Because that's when real art is created, is when you're just creating for no purpose, you know?
Right.
And I'm the same way over the years. And it really like made me feel bad to think maybe I might not be the artist. But like you said, I've come to terms that I just love making music. I could care less what it is. That's why I'm trying to offer the services and get a business going, because I want to be around this. And I'm always going to make music. There's no way I'm going to stop because I just love doing it. I love making music. So, and obviously I would like to focus on that and be making enough money to pick and choose what I want to do, but I feel like we'll get there.
Right. Well,
just gotta keep going.
That's something I've recently loved seeing it from you and Cam, and has been that, and I think it goes deeper than just music, because I think this about myself, and I would imagine about you guys too, because I feel like I've seen it, is like it goes deeper than just music, but like creativity and creation, right? Like taking something from nothing, and not just creativity, but like connection. So that's the thing, is like you have creativity and content, connection, all those things, right? So it's like even this podcast, like we're not making music, but we're creating. We want to create value for someone. We want to create something that when people watch it, when they listen, they resonate with it. Like, we're in this game together. Like, we're in the trenches. You know what I mean? Whatever your trench looks like. Like, we're all in this together, and that's where you can connect. Like, I've thought about this piece of content idea. I'd be interested to see what you think. I'm gonna share it with you. Okay. So as a Christian artist, right? I thought I recently have this song that I'm thinking about releasing next year. It's called Promises, and the chorus says, I know that I'm not perfect. I know I make mistakes, but you're still right there when I call out your name. Right there when I call out your name. I know you'll never leave me guessing. You'll never walk away. I trust your promises. They won't ever change. Right? So that's the chorus. And so I thought of this idea. I was like, man, like, how do you, like, content, because Nick D, again, I'm trying to think of that. So I'm like, what kind of, like, content, or what kind of piece of what kind of video would connect with someone like that, like, kind of like jar them, but also like be like, where is this going, right? So I thought about making a video going, come with me to the bar as a Christian artist, right?
See, that's perfect already. And the first 3 seconds that's it.
Right. So come with me to the bar as a Christian artist, but catch this, go to a law firm, like you're taking the bar exam as a lawyer. Go to a bar class, like gymnastics, like a bar workout class. Go to the actual bar where they drink. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, wait, that could be something. I was like, because perfect. Like imagine I say, come to the bar with me as a Christian artist, and next shot you see me in a tutu in a bar dance class. Like, that's kind of funny. It's kind of tight, and you're like,
and people are like, wait, what did he just say?
Right.
Hold on.
But that's the thing, is like, I've noticed, that's the thing I was thinking, is like, when you say bar and Christian, like, it jars you, because you have people that are going to want to judge you and go, he shouldn't go to the bar, whatever. Which I'm not condoning necessarily, but I'm just saying, like, it's not it's a hard issue, right? So like, that's the thing, is like, I'm trying to connect people, but then the song that comes on is, I know that I'm not perfect. I know I make mistakes, but you're still right there when I call out your name. Whether you're at the bar class, whether you're at the bar exam, whether you're at the bar, like, actually drinking, whatever that may be. And I'm like, and then that format could be for so many other things. Like,
it could.
Come to blank as a Christian artist. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then start the video on whatever that may be. And it's hard to express that to somebody. Again, the whole like community thing. It's like, I feel like I could reach out to someone, like be like, hey yo, Trevor, I have this idea. I think it would be cool, but I need help filming it, or I need help doing this. And you, as a creative and someone that does this, you would be like on board. You'd be like, oh yeah, I like that. Like, that's cool. Like, we're creating something. We're connecting. We're making a story. We're building community.
It's like I see the beautifulness of what you just said, because it's got all the points. It's got the polarity. It's got the emotional tug. It's got the little bit of comedy with being like, oh, I'm in a tutu now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And also just to let people know, like, yes, like I believe, your soul and your salvation, your eternity is important, but also like you can have some fun. Like it's cool to joke around a little bit.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And you're resonating with that. I'm not perfect either. None of us are.
Exactly. So I just thought that was a sick idea. I was like,
perfect.
that would be fun,
That's a perfect
and then I would have fun
idea.
being a clown. I used to do gymnastics. I don't know if you know that, but I used to be a power tumbler.
I used to too.
No way.
I swear to God. I'm a national champion on the trampoline.
No, you are not.
Swear to God. It was me and one other kid. I was 11 years old.
Bro, I see you up there. Bouncing
I was going crazy.
Dang. Okay. You landed on your stomach.
Bro, I tuck it up. I'm going to make sure my phone's not dead.
Okay, you're good, bro.
We're good.
You're good.
I was just making sure.
That's so funny.
But yeah,
That's crazy.
I stopped it, though. I got to the age where I was like starting to get made fun of by my friends and stuff, so I decided to hang it up.
But low key, like right now, like if you were to be like, yo, I can do a backflip, people would be like, no way. Like that's the craziest thing. I'm a bigger guy, like I'm a bigger boy.
Right.
So like when I tell people I can do like a backflip or toe touches, yeah. So
that's crazy.
I mean, I had to get a running start at it, but that's the other thing. As a big boy, you get to momentum rolling, you can flip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just got to throw yourself, and your body goes. So yeah, I can still do. I can still do a backflip on grass. I would not do it on like wood or concrete or nothing.
Right.
So yeah, I can do that, but man, that's crazy. I didn't know you're a national champion.
Yeah, but it was me and one other kid, and he wasn't
Trace
good.
Deion, national champion trampoline.
I'm glad I said it because I don't think I've ever said it on camera before. Yeah. I brag a lot about it though.
Well, there
I
you
tell
go.
Everybody.
Boy, get this boy a trampoline. Somebody.
Oh God. Yeah.
So man, that's so cool. But yeah, I think that's to bring it back. It's like I think that's why I've been so inspired by you guys, because I'm like, they're true creatives. Like, yes, you're a rapper, absolutely. You want to be an artist, but I was like, you're a true creative at heart, And I was like, that is like, that's special. But it's also like, you got to have grit in the game. Like, you got to have some grit in your life.
Yeah, bro. I
to
get
be able to push
hated
through
on
that
every day. I go to TikTok and people are like, "Why are you even making music?"
Yeah.
And at first it affected me, and I'm really to the point where like I think it's funny. I'll go check it and I'll have fun responding to it because I'm not responding hateful. I'm not like, no, what do you mean? I'm literally making a joke out of it because it is a joke for someone to sit behind their screen. Anytime you go look at their profiles, which I don't anymore because I realized every time you click on their profile, they have 2 Fortnite videos from 2 years ago posted. And it's like, of course you're hating because you're scared to do it.
Get wrecked.
You're projecting. Yeah, right. It's like literally a 12-year-old.
For sure.
And it has been like that. I've went and checked it, and it is it's a little kid voice, and I'm like, why would I ever let that affect what I'm doing in my life?
Yeah, no, that's 100% right. And that's the thing I realized for this year, and it's kind of a goal of mine, is like, I see people like you, I see people like Eddie, I see people like Dylan, like, you're always posting. And like, I'm like, good for them, but I'm also like, man, I wish I could do that. I can.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, there's something in me that holds me back, and I'm kind of, I don't want to have to set up my phone 18 times to get the right shot. Oh, no, I don't have the people, blah, blah. No, it's like, when it comes down to it, it's like, Nick actually has a book. I thought about buying it because one of my goals, another goal of mine this year for 2024 is to read 12 books.
That's awesome.
And Nick has a book called You Don't Want It Hard Enough, or You Don't Want It Bad Enough. And like, every time I hear that, I'm like, he's probably right. I mean, unfortunately, if I'm being real with myself.
Well, you say that we're posting all the time. I hate hit my vape, but I'll be addicted.
You good? Blow
Don't vape.
Blow them cotton candy
Don't
clouds,
vape.
boy.
But what was I even just saying?
Nick D, you were saying about how you guys post a lot. I was saying
right,
how don't
and I'm the same way. Because I'll go a week where I post every day, and then I'll take a week off.
Yeah.
And I've been a little better than that recently. But I even found posting every day might not be the best way to do it. Mm-hmm. So it's like maybe I could be doing better content, you know? I mean, not maybe. I know I always can. Right. But what I'm saying is it's not just about how frequently you're putting it out there. There's always, I get down on myself all the time about, and then I hear people say stuff like our work inspires them, like you said, and it means so much to hear because I hate on myself so much, you know. I'm sitting here like, bro, I really just scrolled through TikTok for 45 minutes straight. I'm not doing what I need to be doing. I'm not doing anything, you know. But then I look up and I posted 3 music videos last week and 7 TikTok, you know.
And I haven't posted on my TikTok for I don't know how long, you know what I mean? But I think that's the thing is one of the things I can inspire, of course, I just love seeing you guys' stuff. And sometimes, whether it's yours, whether it's someone else's, realistically, and I catch myself doing this all the time, I go, stylistically, that might not be my vibe, you know what I mean? But then I go, well, what if you posted this week? Like, what are you learning, essentially? Like, yeah, guess what? They might think the same thing about that video, but they've already posted it. They've done it. They know what not to do next time.
Exactly.
You haven't even posted that type of video, so you don't even know what you don't like, what they did wrong, what you would have done different. Like,
that's
so
a
it's
huge key right there. Is just even if you don't think it's good is what's it called? It's opinionated. It's based subjective. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, and it's me and Cam talk about that all the time. We were trying to figure out what's the best way to go about how much should we post, all this, and we came down to the fact that we just need to post as much as we can to find what works.
Right. And I always bring it back to like my dad. It's just the simplest way I can think of it is with my dad and his profession, because it's just a very like a trade. You know, a trade is an attainable profession for a lot of people if they put the work in. Like people look at but people look at music sometimes as like you either have it or you don't. Well, it's like, you know, that could apply to any profession there is. You kind of just got to have an itch for it, right? So like with someone isn't just born and raised and they're automatically a great mixing engineer or a mastering engineer. It's like they put in years of work to figure out and listen in a way that. But anyway, to bring it back to what I was saying about my dad is like, my dad could have been like, you know, when it comes to building houses, again, he could look at someone else's house and go, I don't like that design. I'd have done it different. And he could have done that for the last 40 years and never built a house. And still can't build a house because he's never done it, you know. But the thing is, like, repetition really helps. Like, there's a reason that my dad went to building trade school and, like, trial and error and worked at it and built little bird houses first.
Right.
You know, he'd build a bird house and then he'd build a dog house. And then you build a shed, and then and you learn all the foundational things. You're like, oh, okay. So now if I make it at this scale or do this, you eventually are like, dang, I'm building houses. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm really doing this. And that's the same with, I think that's the same with videos that I have to get better at is going just like
build that birdhouse.
No, yeah, exactly. Build the birdhouse. Don't get too hard on myself. Like realize that it's not, you know, the saying, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. It's not a loss, it's a learning.
That's been so heavy on my mind recently. Like for probably the last year, that's been probably the biggest quote that I've had in the back of my mind.
Yeah, you're not learning, you're not losing, you're learning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, and I think it's creatives in general. We get so hard on ourselves because we know in our head we want it to be a specific thing, but can't attain it or whatever.
It's like I listen to my song and I think it's the best thing ever, and then I do have the people on TikTok who tell me to quit making music, and I'm like, what? I just listened to it like really 80 times. That deep. Right. Yeah. And then people are like, oh, you sound terrible, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I mean that's what people are gonna do. It's normal. I actually have a note in my phone that people that inspire me that are essentially, in my mind, flawless at what they do. Like, so and sometimes I'll come across them and I'll be like, that person is, like, they inspire me because of how incredibly gifted and just effortless they do their thing, right? So there's there's a artist, there's a hyper realist artist or whatever. I don't know if you know what hyper realism art is, but it's essentially where you draw a picture and it looks almost like if you were to like just have your camera on it and like start to zoom out, like you wouldn't know it's a drawn picture.
I gotcha. Okay.
It literally looks exactly like whatever they're drawing.
Yeah.
And it's the most crazy thing. And that is the kind of thing that that's one thing I'll never be able to do is draw. Like I'm a trash
I'm in the same boat.
artist when it comes to drawing. But there's a girl named an Australian artist named CJ Henry. Insane. So she's one of them in my notes where I'm like, wow, that inspires me, right? Of how good she is. It makes me want to be better. Tori Kelly, vocalist.
Oh yeah.
Stupid good, right?
Yeah, she is.
Mateus Asado, he's a guitar player. I love his style. I just don't think he ever messes up. He plays for Bruno Mars and Silk Sonic, and he's toured with Tori Kelly and those guys. Adele, a vocalist, she's another one. I have a list of people in there that like. Billie Eilish is another one. She's so good at what she does. But anyway, like I just have a list of people that I'm like, okay, these people are what I aspire to be like, or like at a level of. But also, I have to remind myself, like, hey, you like they also started here, and worked their way up.
Right.
Because I watch a lot of videos from those people, and they talk about, I wasn't, I had a journey. I walked. I'm like, nah, bro, you perfect. You just always been this good. Don't tell me that. Think. Yeah. Don't tell me that. You've always been this good. Don't tell me there's a long road ahead of me. It's like that sucks.
It does, but it is necessary.
Absolutely, man.
What you got coming up? You got anything? Any new songs you're working on?
Always working on them, never finishing them.
Yeah,
that's my problem. Like that. And now I've got one of my goals. Okay, so I've told you a few of my goals. One of my goals this year is to read 12 books. I need to stop saying this because I'm being held way accountable. I've told way too many people.
Now it's going on YouTube and everything.
I gotta make sure. So I'm
hey, if any of you see Jordan out in public, ask him how many books he's read all 2024.
All right, I'm gonna make a promise. I'm gonna read You're Not Working Hard Enough, or You Don't Want It Bad Enough, or whatever by Nick D this year. I'm gonna read that.
That should be the first one.
That's gonna be one of them.
The next 12 the next day.
That's right. So and then I'm actually on I'm on a like I said, not to get spiritual or anything, but I'm on a Bible reading plan called The Shred for the next 30 days, and I'm not regretting it. God, I'm not regretting it. But like it's to read. I didn't realize what it was when I signed up for it.
Right.
It's reading the entire Bible in 30 days.
What?
So I got to read Genesis 1 through 41 today. I've read 1 through 11.
That's crazy.
I got like 30 books to go tonight.
Right.
30 chapters. But man, like I was like,
have you read the Bible all the way through before?
I actually haven't.
You haven't?
I've read, not like read it all the way through. I've read like everything everywhere, but never all the way through. I gotcha. And that's the goal of this reading plan, is like it's not to dig in and like get too deep into the individual scriptures or whatever. It's actually to get a whole like look at the big story.
Right. Because I'm sure with how much you've read each individual part, it'll make that much more sense as you go along. Right.
You want to connect the dots. You want to bridge the gaps, essentially. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to be reading that for the next 30 days.
Yeah. So, well, there's one book. Hey, there's a book.
Technically, if you want to get technical, it's 66 books.
There we go.
Boy,
there we go.
Boy, I'm on it. So,
praise the Lord.
Hallelujah. So if you want to get technical, I'm going to be reading 88 books this year. 78 books. Yeah. Right. Yeah, 66 plus 12, 78. I had to make sure I was right on my math. So anyway, we'll get after that. But then other than that, another goal is I would like to release. Man, I don't know if I should say this publicly, but I want to release.
I've said dates that I'm gonna release my album, and a date I said on a podcast was like 3 months ago. So and it's coming out in February.
No, it's cool. It's
cool. Now I'm saying it's coming out in February. It'll probably be the end of this.
This is part of the overthinking process.
It is
like not that it really wasn't that deep or whatever that
It never was. I don't even know.
Yeah, I know it.
It might be that.
That's a reference to a Trace song. It never really was that deep. Anyway, I want to release like six songs this year at least.
Right.
I want to release more content. The reality is as well, I think something that I need to remember, not overthink, is I can make content to the songs that I already have released. I don't have to just always be making new. It's like I have a whole EP out that people can listen to, and I can use that to make content. Like I don't have to again, like,
and that's the best way to go about it. Or you have songs that, like, there could be a song you released 2 years ago that blows up on TikTok right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so one of my goals last year, which I didn't quite meet, I was actually on really good track, but the second half of the year I kind of lost out on it. It was like I wanted to get to 400 posts on Instagram. I think I'm at like 300, maybe 280, something like that. Right. So I really kind of slacked off on that one, but so I want to get back. I want to get up to 400 this year on posts with content, stuff like that, and then potentially 6 songs, which I'm producing majority of them. So that's why it's like it takes a lot more time when you produce your own stuff, as you probably know.
Yeah.
So
especially when you don't. I feel like people who focus on production can do it pretty quickly, and people who focus on vocals can, because I can record vocals on a song, you know.
Right.
I could probably get it done in 30 minutes if I was really trying.
Right.
But with a beat, I have to sit there and look through every sound, and I know people who are really good at it do that too, but they know what they're looking for. I don't. You know?
I'd like to make, not this year, but like... This isn't necessarily this year goal, but I'd like to make vocal sample packs one day. I think that would be fun.
That's a good idea.
One of the things, I have my laptop here, and maybe if I can test out the mic, I actually have a session that maybe we can plug into if that's cool.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, 12 books, 6 songs, more content, like making more videos, and asking friends like, hey, how do you do that, or like, what do you think of this? Kind of bouncing ideas and just, whatever. Just creating more community around it. So, yeah, those are some goals of mine. Of course, fitness goals, like lose some weight,
Right.
Ever since moving back to America and getting married, boy, I done
been gaining some weight.
Boy, I need to get back down.
So, I need to gain some. I've been
I'll give you some of mine, man.
I'd take some.
But, yeah, so that's it. And then hopefully in March or June, hopefully move up northern Illinois, get that job.
Right.
That would be real nice. So we'll see what happens, though. I don't really have much say in that.
Right.
So those are some things I have. What about you? What are some of your goals? You probably already talked about, but
yeah, I feel like I'm not really setting goals this year.
Okay.
Because every year I set them, I get disappointed. And it's not that I think goals are bad. I am setting goals, but I'm not necessarily labeling them as goals. It's more so, I guess the biggest goal is just to get better with each next thing. Yeah. Is really what it comes down to. I've got plans to release. I'm releasing 3 songs on the 11th, which is in a week or so. Another 3 on February 1st, and then a 33-song album on February 22nd. But that's the one I've had, like, in the chamber for a couple years. Yeah. I mean, not all of them. Some of them I just made a couple weeks ago because I've been changing them in and out.
How many songs do you think you got, like, just in the archive?
It's probably got to be over 1,000 at this point. I really think so.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And, I mean, they're probably not 1,000 fully finished songs, you know, but I mean, they might be. Might be.
There you go.
Because I was looking through it the other day and I was deleting a whole bunch. I moved my songs to a hard drive, so I was clearing up space on my computer. And I was looking in it, because it goes by months, but then once it changes years, like now my 2023 went to one folder, because it'll go 12 months, so it'll be separated into 12 files. But then once it goes by the year, it'll have everything. And I was looking at it, and it would say, like, 2021 was 900 files, 2022 was, like, 800. But some of them are the same song, different versions. Okay. So, that's why I say it's probably 1,000 total songs, because that's just 21 and 22. Wow. And I'm not exaggerating on those numbers, I don't think.
Oh, no, I don't doubt it, because I'm not kidding. I think you record more music than any person that I know individually.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. I swear you make a new song every day. Like, it seems that way anyway.
Yeah.
So every time I come over, you just like, hey, bro, check this out. Like, what is it? A new song. I'm like, okay, like, let's check it.
I've got it right here. I've got 2022 was 882 files, and then 2023 was 585. So I slacked last year. Slacked year.
Like 500 songs,
that's
bro.
Crazy. I need to pick it
last
up.
time I was over here, you released, I think, Mother Effer and the Mismatched Socks.
Yeah, I think that was my first Trace album. Yeah. My only, I think. I've got a few projects, but
I didn't realize that I forgot you were for real. So I didn't realize, like, the Trace Deion has been, like, newer.
Right. It's crazy that you just said that, because I was just about to say the album's name that I'm releasing in February is Are You For Real? Dang. Because people have asked me, like, I have had a few people ask Trace, like, weren't you for real? You know, like, message me on Insta, and I was like, yeah, I was. Dang. Yeah, so I thought it would be cool to make an album called Are You For Real?
I love it.
And some of the songs I made when I was for real, there's probably 4 or 5 of them that I made it when I was still going as it, so it's kind of like a tribute.
I don't know how your brain has so many bars, but, like, it's crazy. Even the Are You For Real is, like, that's such a sick album name, you know, because...
But, I mean, I'm obsessive about this. I sit here and just listen to the music. Like, if I'm not doing anything, I'm sitting here, usually a little bit of marijuana is involved, and I'm listening to music, but that means over the course of a couple months, I truly get a really good grasp of what I'm getting across. And it even happens today. I told you this album's been put together for probably a year or 2 now. Yeah. And today I'm listening it all the way through with a couple new songs, and all of a sudden I got another, like, grasp on the meaning. It's the first 5 or 6 songs that just hit me different today, and it resonates with what I've got going on in my life right now. And it's crazy to me because it seems like, and that's why I'm so passionate about the music, it almost tells me the future, you know, in a way that I'm not trying to make anything at all. I'm just doing exactly what I like doing. You know,
that's so cool. I love it, man. Well, congratulations.
Thank you
on everything in the Studio 13X.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on all that. Same to you, Cam, if you want this or listen, whatever.
He probably will.
Congrats.
Y'all are watching Unplugged Convos. Where can they find you at on social media?
Jordan Pride Music on Instagram. That's probably the main one. TikTok, Jordan Pride Music. Yeah, those are the 2 main places. Facebook is probably just Jordan Pride Music.
Right. There you go.
All the
That's
same
good,
everywhere.
Though. It's actually very important to have it
all the same.
Yes. What was consistent?
That's the word. Consistent.
I'll be forgetting words on podcasts. I swear, cool. Like, if I'm not recording myself talk and recording the video, then it's like I'm never. But it's so hard.
Back to the thing we were talking about earlier. Is like, you said this is 9 probably podcast 9. Think where you're gonna be at 19. Think where you're gonna be at 29.
Right.
Like 30. Like,
yeah, Joe Rogan's at like 1,000 something now.
Right. Dude's a professional. Like, people think that recording a podcast is easy. You know, it's turn a red light on yourself and start to try to have a conversation. And you start to realize, like, what are we talking about?
And we have people in our comments all the time that are like, no one cares what you guys are saying.
Right.
And it's like, okay, maybe not now, but we're literally just getting comfortable. It comes back to, it's not a loss, it's a lesson.
Right.
Every time, because me and Cam look through, and it even helps me with my communication in life, because I'm sitting there watching myself have a conversation.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't like how I did that. I don't like how I say like every 5 words, and I do, and it's hard, but I have gotten better because of doing the podcast. That's why it's not a loss, it's a lesson.
That's one of the hardest things, I think, about having a conversation with someone that's recorded, is like you kind of just are riffing like when you'd be hanging out, but realistically on a podcast you kind of want to take someone on a journey somewhere, whether people realize it or not. There's an art to it. There's something. So,
I think we locked in on that art tonight, because I think a lot of the stuff we talked about, it'll inspire people.
I hope so.
And especially around this community, I'm starting to see more and more people just post content of doing what they love to do. I love to see it, and I like to think we have a little bit to do with it.
I think so. I think you guys are kind of inspiring a new wave and like paving a way that that people maybe have been nervous about in this area. Art's vulnerable, man. It's so vulnerable. It's hard. you're gonna get criticized for what you think, what you want to do. But no, I think you guys keep doing what you're doing, keep pressing forward. And now next time, like you said, hopefully I can come back and we can do this again.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Who knows? Like, now, like, I might be moving. I'm involved in I'm involved in ministry and a lot of local outreach. I do a lot of things with the community, kind of everywhere I'm at. Like when I go back, I'm working with a teen outreach. So Monday and Tuesday of next week, I have trauma teaching. So I got to learn how to teach kids that are raised in very traumatic situations, gang affiliations, drug activities. So, I love talking about that stuff. Like, that's awesome. There's so many things we can talk about.
I think we need to just set a time up to come have a 2-3 hour podcast for real.
And I come every just so you know, and I'll probably hit you up anyway. But so I work part time at a church here, and I come once a month. Every month I'll be in Illinois. So if I ain't living here, I'll be coming. So
say less.
Yeah.
All right.
That'd be good.
I appreciate you, bro.
It's been good.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Follow Jordan Pride Music everywhere.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Peace.